Hello and welcome to MGTracey today. Now yesterday we were having a go with a sort of a top end carpet shampoo with the Rug Doctor, and I find that the Bissell, some of the bigger hoovers in the States and the Rug Doctor are all around $300 and they do a very effective job. But then there's another level of carpet shampoos or carpet cleaners at over here at about 80 quid and certainly sub $100 with the tax. So this is a model that is branded Tower, but you can find it in many guises from China, the same equipment just with a different brand on it. So let's have a look at the differences, and what do you get for your $100? Now on the face of it, all the carpet cleaners work in the same way, the carpet shampooers. You can see there's a very familiar format. This has a 5-meter cable and you've got a very simple little trigger. There's a little bit of bolting together when it comes in the box, but only really putting the handle in. And then you've got two familiar things that you'll find in all carpet shampoos. One is at the top, you've got your water. Actually it's just some water I'm testing, but we'll put some water and detergent in that in a moment. And that is clipping into the top. And then at the bottom, you've got your dirty water one. And they all work in a very similar way, to be honest. So they spray water in, you pull them backwards, and then you vacuum up the water through here. Now there are some very significant differences when you look at the base of this unit and the cheaper units. So all you've got at the bottom here is this little rocker with the brushes on. What you've got on the more expensive machines is a more traditional belt or direct driven motor that is really scrubbing deep into the carpets. Now you have to think that must be having quite an effect on the quality of how well it cleans your carpet, but I don't know. Let's have a go with this one and see what results we get. There's a couple of easy things you need to do before you start. First one is remove any small bits and pieces of furniture you can off the floor. I don't move the heavy items of furniture, I just vacuum the bits where you get the footfall, where you can actually see the carpet. Professionals may move all your furniture out, but how dirty can it get if it's actually underneath there? And it's a lot of hassle, so I don't bother with that. I just shampoo the bits where you are walking and the kids are walking, and if you've got pets, the same thing. So that's how I shampoo my carpets. First thing, get rid of your tables and bits and pieces. Next thing is go over your Shark or your Dyson and make sure that the carpet's clean as you can get it in normal before we start with the shampoo. I'm using the Rug Doctor detergent I've already got here, but make sure you follow the dilution ratios correctly when you're filling up whichever your machine is. You have some instructions with the machine, and you should have some instructions with your detergent. Most of the machines come with the detergent, and if you can keep the brands the same, that's an advantage. My other quick tip when you're filling this up is to put the detergent in first and then put in warm water from the tap. That seems to work a bit more efficiently than cold water. Don't use boiling water, it will damage the tank. Just warm water from your tap will be fine. Okay, so we're going to have a go with the Tower Aquajet. We've got the detergent in there mixed to the percentages that this particular manufacturer recommends. I've used warm water and you can see you've already got a little bit of froth in the top there. That doesn't matter, you shouldn't get too much of that in the carpet, and obviously make sure you don't overfill that tank. And as we now go around and shampoo and vacuum it, we've got to keep an eye on this one and make sure you empty this every so often, because this will stop working when it gets to the max fill level, which on this particular model there's a little line there. So keep an eye on both tanks. Right then, we're ready to go now. A 5-meter cable does sound very long. Actually it isn't, I don't think. I think in many bigger houses this is going to be a problem. So if you can buy a machine that has a longer than a 5-meter cable, I would say that was an advantage. All the machines are all very simple to use. So obviously there's an on-off button which is down the side by the motor. Up here, that trigger is when you release the water. Remember, you only pull it backwards. So when you go over it second and third time, you are not pulling the button, you're just vacuuming to get the concentrate out of the carpet you've already put in there. The only other switch you've got is the handle release there. So you've got your on-off button, which is there, your dispensing trigger there, and that. So that's pretty simple. Right, here we go then.
So you can see the water being sucked up here, and it is actually quite dirty, which is a good sound. So we're going to go back and forth a few times, making sure we get all the water out. Over to the next line. Go with the trigger, and then you can go back and forth slowly. So your first go is you pull the trigger, you come backwards, you're spraying the detergent, stop at the end of that run, and then you can then go back and forward a few times to make sure you can get the carpet as dry as you can. On the more expensive models, you'll find the Bissells and some of the other hoovers actually have a heated element, which basically is like hair drying your carpet, and that then should be ready within a few hours. This is going to take maybe 12 hours to fully dry. Try not to walk on it while it's wet.
So one of the things I've noticed with the cheaper carpet shampoos is if you've got fairly new carpet and the pile is good like it is here, actually it seems to work fine. Where it really struggles is where you've got high traffic parts of your room where maybe the pile has been crumpled down a bit, then without a front beat bar it doesn't get that up. A couple of ways you can offset that. One is to make sure you vacuum it thoroughly on the higher setting to pull the pile up before you start, and the other one is in areas where you may find you've got particular discoloration is to use a Trigger, Vanish or similar brand, a carpet stain remover one. Put that on, let that sink in for a couple of minutes, then go over with this, and that then seems to remove any of the tougher stains that this unit without a beat bar on its own wouldn't do. I think you can see there that on the better parts of the carpet it's done a pretty good job. We'll empty the tank in a minute and see just how much muck we've got out. So my two tips: remember, if you've got a high density, high traffic area, you might need to really set your Dyson or Shark on full power to bring the pile up before you do this. And if you have any areas where you're struggling a little bit, then this is a carpet and upholstery shampoo, but there are different brands obviously. Choose one and use a little bit of that, let it soak in, and then go over with your machine. With the bigger machines, the Rug Doctor, you're probably not going to need to do that. Okay, I think it's time to empty that front tank and see what came out of this carpet. Now with these budget machines, certainly you do find that you have to fill up the tank with the detergent 3 or 4 times to every once that you empty this one. The sort of the new water tank really doesn't seem to be quite big enough. So that's a bit of a nuisance, but anyway, you can see from the colour of the liquid there just how much this machine has managed to get out of that carpet. That carpet is done every 6 months with a Rug Doctor, so on first inspection it looks very similar, that it's got most of the rubbish that the vacuum, the Dysons and the Sharks leave behind. Now when I've made these videos before, people often say, this is their favourite bit, just watching what comes out. If this is the first time you've done your carpet, you're going to find it's even darker than this. But in there, if you've got pets, there's pet dander, there's pollen, all sorts of stuff that seems to get left behind by the normal vacuums. I'm going to use this to do another room, but if I was finished now, then you need to give that one a rinse out and let that dry before you reseal it, otherwise you can let mould start in there. Another tip here, there's a little filter here that goes into that tank. You can see it's picked up a lot of gunk and rubbish, so you need to just pop that out. It's only a sponge, and give that a little bit of a wash before you start any more. Just make sure that filter is clean before you redot the tank. This is that little filter, and it's all that's protecting the motor, so you've got to make sure you give this a good clean every time you empty that tank. It's covered in hair and stuff, and takes a bit of good old clean. It's a tiny little filter, isn't it? You don't have to dry this in between emptying the tanks, but I'm going to dry it now as I'm going to put the machine away. So you should be back to a fairly clean bit of foam there. Okay, that's all the downstairs done, which has taken about an hour. This unit doesn't come with any attachments to clean furniture or fabrics. Be really careful, even if your machine does. If you put too much in, and these are made of foam, the foam just is very difficult to get dry again and can smell. Even worse, if the more expensive ones have got metal springs inside them, and you've injected water that's got onto the springs will rust, they can snap. So be really careful if you are going to attempt to do furniture. That might be something you need to get a professional in, but for the floor, this machine's done a pretty good job. You just need to get over some of the issues without that front brush bar where you re-vacuum, or you use a bit of extra detergent, or you go up and down it really slowly with the machine. I'm going to open the windows now and try and dry this off. Obviously in the States you've got air conditioning, that's going to happen very quickly. In the UK, particularly on cold days like today, this is going to take 10 hours or so to be really dry, and then tomorrow I shall give it another really good going over with the Dyson or the Shark, and it should be as good as new. So I hope you found that useful. Please like, share and subscribe, and come back every day for a bit more fun and help here on MGTracey's. Paul from London, I'll see you in the next video.